The killing machines beneath the ocean. The Atlantic Ocean had become a massive graveyard. Beneath the waves, German U-boats silently hunted their prey. They would appear without warning, fire torpedoes, and disappear back into the darkness of the sea. British merchant ships were being destroyed at an alarming rate. More than 5,700 ships were lost during the war, along with over 12,700 civilian lives. Britain desperately needed a way to protect its fleets. But there was one major problem. You can camouflage soldiers in a forest. You can hide artillery in trenches. But how do you hide a giant steel ship in the middle of the ocean? You can't. Smoke from the funnels, sunlight reflecting off metal, the wake cutting through the water. Everything revealed a ship's position at sea. And then, an almost ridiculous idea appeared. The man behind the idea wasn't an admiral. He wasn't a military engineer either. He was an artist named Norman Wilkinson. Before the war, Wilkinson worked as an illustrator and graphic designer. While military leaders searched for ways to make ships invisible, Wilkinson thought in the exact opposite direction. He argued, if you can't hide the ship, make the enemy unable to hit it. His idea was simple but incredibly bold. Instead of painting ships ocean blue to blend into the sea, he covered them with distorted geometric shapes, violent angles, and highly contrasting colors. When viewed through a submarine periscope, enemy officers would struggle to determine where the bow actually was, which direction the ship was moving, how fast it was traveling, and how far away it really was. This became known as dazzle camouflage. Not camouflage designed to hide, but camouflage designed to confuse. Part 2. When art became a weapon, soon ships began appearing with bizarre paint schemes. Black and white stripes, sharp diagonal lines, twisting curves, broken geometric patterns. They looked more like floating abstract paintings than warships. Many later compared the designs to Cubist art associated with figures like Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque. But these designs were never meant to look beautiful. They were meant to deceive the human eye. At the time, German submarines had no advanced radar systems. To launch a successful torpedo attack, U-boat commanders had to raise a periscope above the water for only a few seconds and quickly calculate the ship's direction, its speed, its angle, and the timing needed for the torpedo to intercept the target. Even a tiny miscalculation could cause a torpedo to miss completely. And that was exactly what dazzle camouflage tried to create. Visual confusion. The enemy could see the ship, but couldn't accurately understand what they were seeing. Part 3. An entire fleet turned into abstract art. At first, Wilkinson's idea sounded absurd, but German U-boats were causing catastrophic losses, so the British Admiralty decided to test it. A special camouflage section was established at the Royal Academy in London, and interestingly, many artists, not soldiers, were recruited to help design the patterns. They built miniature ship models, placed them on rotating platforms, and studied them through periscopes to determine which designs caused the greatest visual distortion. Even King George V reportedly tested the system himself. When looking through a periscope at one of the painted models, he incorrectly guessed the ship's direction. By late 1917, Britain began applying dazzle camouflage on a massive scale. More than 2,300 British ships were painted before the war ended. Soon, the United States adopted the strategy as well. Wilkinson even traveled to America to help organize the U.S. Navy's camouflage program at the request of Assistant Secretary of the Navy Franklin D. Roosevelt. Part 4. Did it actually work? That question is still debated by historians today. No one can say for certain that dazzle camouflage completely changed the naval war. Some post-war studies suggested its effectiveness was limited, but there were still some striking statistics. Of the more than 1,200 American ships painted with dazzle patterns in 1918, only 18 camouflaged ships were sunk, and all of them were merchant vessels. Not a single camouflaged U.S. warship was lost. Still, dazzle camouflage was never used alone. Ships also traveled in convoy formations, zigzagged across the ocean, and received armed naval escorts. Together, these tactics made submarine attacks far more difficult. Ending. When art saved lives, dazzle camouflage remains one of the strangest military ideas ever created. It didn't try to hide ships from sight. Instead, it turned visibility itself into a weapon, a strategy born from art that forced some of the world's deadliest submarine commanders to misfire in the middle of the ocean. Today, radar and advanced tracking systems have made dazzle camouflage mostly obsolete, but its legacy still survives. Modern military designs still use visual disruption and optical deception in different forms. And more than a century after World War I, those strange black and white ships remain proof that sometimes the craziest ideas are the ones that work best.